My teachers, they always said that if you ever give a talk and no one has questions at the end, then either everyone understood everything you said or no one understood anything you said. And I'm under the impression that no one got any of that. Or they forgot it all after. See the Apache.
Any questions? First question.
There we go. If after this, if you don't have more questions, I want to start asking you questions. Yeah. The brother here. Oh, sister.
It wasn't so much a question. It was just an observation that when you said about people learning about their roots, because some people don't have any roots. I don't have any roots. My children don't have any roots. So my children are first generation Muslims in my family, in their dad's family. So
Take beer.
The reason I'm making that comment is because some of these people, the majority of people here, have roots. But for myself, they need to be cut out because this is what is affecting the unity. There is no unity. However much they think there's unity, there isn't.
Just for the benefit of everyone, no one had. Does anyone hear that? So, sister saying that obviously most of us here, majority of people have some roots in terms of where they're from, but for herself she feels that they are first generation Muslim and her children are first generation Muslim, so they don't feel as if a sense of identity.
They don't feel, my sons, so they're a mixture of English and Jamaican. They don't fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Then you've got people who are reverts who are both parents are same religion. You've got all different kind of backgrounds, and I've got a lot of friends who are reverts.
Yeah.
But I feel that it is complete
Alone.
It's a lonely existence because everyone's clicky with each other, and no one is willing to cross that, chuck the culture out the window. If you brought the deen into it, you wouldn't have any problems. If you're coming from deen and not from culture, then you need to throw it in the bin.
SubhanAllah. One thing I will say is that if anyone has a question, when you ask your question, please make it loud enough for everyone to hear you. Because if he repeats the question, perhaps it takes some of the feeling out of the question. So if you're going to ask a question, we all want to hear it. So speak loud enough for everyone to hear so he doesn't have to repeat it. But what the sister is mentioning, she didn't have a question, it was a comment. But I'll be personal with you, give you something about my own life. So my wife, she's a mixture of African American and Puerto Rican. She's the first Muslim in her family. In my family, I'm a second generation, so my children are third generation Muslims in my family, right? But in my wife's family, and they're like Puerto Rican Catholic, it's like, I can't explain it, it's just a different vibe, man. It's just, and my wife though, it's funny that you mentioned because we have this race, in my house, we talk about all of this stuff. Race and geography and culture versus deen, how sometimes people let culture override the deen. This is a big conversation in my house, you know? And for us, we got married very, very young, and I have a lot of friends who are Muslims. She has friends who are Muslim, and then she used to have friends who are non-Muslims as well, and some of them have become Muslims now, by way of her good example. And I pray Allah, rewards her for that, I mean. But we see, especially like in the time of marriage, culture like overrides the deen sometimes, like completely, bro. But it's easy for us, and this is what I have to, it's easy for us, like I tell my wife, that you have to understand that some people, they don't know anything different. They don't understand anything different than their cultures. And so I've come to a conclusion in my mind. I say, you know what? I can't blame anybody for having culture. I can't blame anybody for that, right? And a part of being Muslim is that I have to overlook them and be tolerable. And I keep telling my wife, it's our job to show them the beauty of the religion. Because we ain't got no culture. All we have is the deen. So make sure that your children, they're the most learned amongst the children. Really.
I culture my children in everything.
SubhanAllah.
And the thing is, we are here to learn about each other because it says it in the Quran. We're here to learn about our differences and embrace that. But sometimes people aren't embracing it. They're using it as
to keep us separate. Yeah, segregation.
And that leads on to the problem with the youth, because I have problems, and it's because they never fit in, and they've gone other ways. So, and in serious ways, and with the adults, the fathers, for me, they need to step up, put their arrogance to one side, respect me, I'm the father, put it to one side, get to learn the children, understand the children, and understand what's going on in their life. I've seen it all, and I'm telling you, the father, because now it's got to the point where it's got so bad, even if you wanted to get to know your child, it's almost like it's too late. Yeah. Because things are happening. Yeah. The children now, it's ingrained in them. All this gang culture and violence and drugs and everything, and I've had all of that firsthand, and I'm still going through it, and it is really hard. And even for me, I don't know what to do, because there are no elders in the community who are willing to step forward and advise or say, you know what, there's a problem here, let's go and sort it out. Yeah. There isn't anyone. Yeah. There's no one.
There's this problem that you mentioned, I understand it very well. I understand it. I understand this problem that you're mentioning very, very well. And whenever I speak to a crowd like this, I'm very, very careful about what I say, because I don't want to offend anybody. And I don't want to offend the good parts of people's culture, right? But one thing, firstly, I should tell the men that women, they have one voice. So what she just said, even if your culture, that your wife wouldn't say that to you, they're all feeling that way. About the men needing to step up, getting to know their children, and putting their pride to the side and their arrogance to the side, and really tackling this issue together. Because it's not going to take one father, it's going to take all of the fathers. Because you know something? My son, he may not even listen to me, but he may listen to you. And your son, he may not even listen to you, but he just might listen to me. And if we show them a collective front of men together, irregardless, I love how he said, I don't care if you are he, we, he, whatever, right? Man, subhanAllah. Because we have that divide at home too. It's a deep one. It's a deep one. It's not something that started in the West. That started back in the East. It's a deep one. But if we show these children a unified front of men, they won't have anywhere to run. Because everywhere you go, you're going to run into this brick wall of men. This brick wall of men. You need to create a brick wall that if they try to get outside of us, they're just going to run into a locked armed group of men. And the reason why they find it so easy to be separate is because all of us are separate. But there is something deeper here that she's mentioning. And this is something for the sisters as well. Her children need help, true. She needs help. She needs sisters in Islam. My wife has been a Muslim now for like, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I'm bad at math, man. Right? My wife has been a Muslim for 9 years. Alhamdulillah. And for 8 of those years, we've been married, right? Literally, it's been 8 years, and my wife finally has Muslim friends. She's been a Muslim for almost a decade, and she is just now really having Muslim friends and experiencing sisterhood in Islam. They come over on Eid and they do the henna thing and all of that, right? And they play like, you know, yeah, they play some nasheeds, bro. You know, right? When they're getting dressed, they're making tea. She has one friend from Pakistan who makes like the best tea that you ever tasted. And we don't even drink tea. I drink coffee. You know, like that's not our thing, right? But I'm telling you, when I see my wife, and like she doesn't go out much. So now the sisters, they have these little gatherings and stuff, and then she's like, I'm gonna go to the gathering. I remember the first time she said, should I even go to that? I don't even want to go, because they're just gonna be talking in a language I can't understand and all, right? No one's gonna make me feel welcome. And she went. That was 2 years ago, and they started off slow, but now literally every single Saturday, I already know I got to keep the kids. It's not even a thought. You don't have to talk about anything. I know on Saturday nights, I got to keep my kids, you know, because she's going to go have a good time with the sisters. You know, they talk. They don't just do just Islamic things, but sometimes they go and they just reserve the Prophet ﷺ. Sometimes they go and they have like, there's an alim amongst them, and sometimes she gives tafsir of Quran. Sometimes they come and just talk about their husbands, you know. And then I say, what happened? You know, she said, well, all I can tell you is this, right? And then she just gives me some little thing. I said, yeah, there was more to that, right? That's that, you know? But literally, she's just becoming confident in being a woman in Islam, you know? And one thing I can tell you as sisters is that when people are alone, when they all they have is Allah and the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they become strong. Trust me. I don't even know her. But from what she just explained to me, the fact she's here today in the front row, and she was the first one to ask the question and to make the statement, I can see strength when I see it. I recognize it when I see it. She has strength. Because like I told you, we used to be by ourselves at the bottom, and all my mom had to teach us was Islam. And when I got older and I realized I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to be like this anymore, only thing I could hold on to is Islam. Same thing she's feeling. Same thing her husband's feeling. They're both converts. They're children. First generation like them. She's out here practicing the deen on her own in Britain. But we're the Ummah. We're one nation. Who's going to do the job? And don't answer the question. Just somebody, please. Make sure she's never left alone again. And I don't mean like fake companionship. Oh, hey sister, you okay? Hey sister, you need anything? Ask her that and mean it. But no, really, sister, what help do you need from me? You don't go to help a person the way that you want to help them. You help them the way that they need help. Inshallah. Allah bless you. Really, I mean.
Just on that note, too, as she said, I personally been aware of the situation for some time. And one thing we do definitely need, and I'm going to say this on behalf of the organization, inshallah, after this event, if some brothers can come see me, we will set up some sort of counselling session with parents, guaranteed within the next couple of weeks. You have my word for this. I have been meaning to set this up for some time, but for those of you who know, I'm really stretched for time. And Sister personally, many times, on many occasions, has approached many people in the community, right? Many times, right? And I've known her, kids personally for over 10 years, 15 years possibly. I was as young as her kids as they are now, and that's how long I've known them for. So inshallah, immediately after this, if anyone that wants to help with the counselling and anyone has an experience, come see me afterwards. We will set up a counselling board on a weekly basis immediately after the event. Is that okay, inshallah? Can we move on to the next question? We're running out of time. We've got about 20 minutes, so if you can...
Sorry to be winded, but that was, alhamdulillah, you kind of just summed up pretty much everything that we need to do to move forward.
They just need, I think the men need to realise what is going on. I don't think the community, the older community, realise what's going on.
No, they don't.
They really don't. Outside my front door, I've had, my son's been stabbed, I've witnessed stabbings, just I live in a tiny little road, yeah? I can't even tell you the things that are going on, and it's all little kids. I'm talking little, younger than these ones here. There's so much going on, and the parents don't even know about it.
Subhanallah. That's, we can hashtag that as life in the West. Because really, a lot of the parents, So, that's from someone who lives in your community. I don't live in your community. She lives in your community. Please take heed. Take heed. Because some of these young men, they know exactly what she's talking about. Even if some of our fathers don't know, some of our uncles don't know, they know in this front row, they know exactly what she's talking about. It's time to reconnect, y'all. Inshallah. Okay. That's too loud.
Just stand up and just... just like a spoken word.
You made the point about there's like a inferiority complex like between Muslims and non-Muslims. Right? I've actually seen the opposite, where like my Muslim friends or someone like my family don't think, well, we're better than them because we're Muslim. That doesn't sound right to me, because if you come with that kind of perspective, then how are you going to be the best people? If you already think that you're like a step above, then what's going to be the best way to tackle that?
That makes a lot of sense. But one thing is that there's two ways to answer that. First is that the Muslims, you are the best nation set forth for mankind. Not because of who you are, who your people are, because of any of that, but because you follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's all that makes you better. Please understand that. Please know that. That's the only thing that gives us that that step ahead of the rest of creation. It's because we follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's absolutely it. But what I can tell you is this. One, if this is coming from elders in your family, right? They have confidence in the deen. That's for one. They got confidence. So all you young people, you need to grow some confidence in the deen like they have. That's one. But two, I think the best way for us to do that as young people, right, is to properly integrate ourselves with the non-Muslims. Because we have this idea that all non-Muslims are bad, or all non-Muslims just don't want to be Muslim, or that all non-Muslims are against Islam. And it's not the truth. A lot of the non-Muslims that I know, nobody ever told them the truth about Islam. The only thing they have is the media. The only thing they have, is stories of Osama bin Laden. Why would they want to be a Muslim? Right? But if they meet you, what's your name? Umar. Numan. Oh, Numan. So if they meet you, Numan, right? And you're kind to them, you're merciful with them, you show them good manners, invite them in, feed them, right? Unapologetically tell them about your religion, right? You don't tell it to them like, maybe agree with this. No, you tell it to them like it's the truth, like it's haq. But the religion doesn't oppress anybody. That's not what Islam was sent for. Islam is not to oppress anybody, not even a non-Muslim. So you can't make a non-Muslim feel bad for being a non-Muslim. You either guide them to the truth or you let them be. You let them be. Because the thing is that while we're still alive, every single child of Adam has the capability of dying on truth. So as long as a person is still breathing, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he begged his uncle all the way until he died. So as long as a person is still breathing, I'm talking about Donald Trump, bro. Donald Trump. Donald Trump still has the capability of dying on truth. If you really believe in the deen, if you really believe in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even somebody like that, he has the capability of dying on deen. So you got to know that these people that we know, we come across, we interact with, man, they're already with you. They're close to being Muslims, So I think the big thing is to really just show your elders that, look, they're not bad people. They have good things to offer. And try to show your elders, don't tell them, try to just be good and show them, right? Try to show your elders, like, look, my friend from school, he's really not that bad. He just doesn't know Muslims. My friend from work, he's really not that bad. He just doesn't know Muslims. And I know he has some bad manners, some things, because he wasn't taught culture. He wasn't taught etiquettes and all these different things. But he's not that bad, Mom. He's not that bad, Dad. Please give him a chance. And maybe from our good example, maybe he'll become a Muslim. That's really the way, inshallah. Any more questions? Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. I love when little boys ask questions, man. No, you got to stand up. You got to stand up. What's your name? Bilal. Oh, snap, man. Black men, when we hear about Bilal in the religion, we love it. I got to tell you the truth. Okay, Bilal, and what's your father's name? Amjad. Alhamdulillah. So Bilal ibn Amjad. Allah bless your father, Allah bless your mother. Say Ameen. Okay, what's up, Bilal?
When you were stopping the fight, were you scared of being punched or hit?
Bilal, no. Now, you know something, Bilal? Those kids you seen in the video, honestly, those were good boys, man. And that neighborhood we were in, if we were 5-10 blocks on the other side of that same boulevard, perhaps I approach the situation a little bit differently. Because then I would know where I'm at. I would know that this young guy that I'm about to stop and fight, he may have his gun. So instead of coming up and talking, maybe I come up and tackle him and try to get his weapon from him, right? So those guys, those were good kids like you, Bilal. Really, they didn't even want to fight. I'm telling you, I talk to those guys now, and I get them to tell me the truth. They didn't even want to fight. Really, they just didn't want to be the one who didn't stand up to the fight. They were insecure what their friends would say, So all they wanted to do was not be the punk, not be the one who backed down from a fight. And but those are really, they're good kids, you know. And but I gotta tell you the truth. If they were worse, alhamdulillah, we would have done the same thing, but a much, much different way. Subhanallah. So no, I wasn't scared of them. Anybody, sisters? Any sisters? Okay.
I know someone who's interested in learning about Islam,
You
but
can hear me? Okay.
Quiet, no. They're interested in learning about Islam, but I don't really know like where to start with them and how to like guide them and stuff.
Man, tell them about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Straight up, yo. Like, go get a Sirah book and drop it off. Like, you can't listen. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man, you like, I don't care who you are. They're even like academic non-Muslims who are baffled. Literally, they're like, who is this man? Historians, and they can't figure out why he's the most influential man to ever walk the face of earth. Why his religion still to this day is the fastest growing religion in history ever of mankind. You know? So I think with non-Muslims, and this is for all of us, any of us. I know first when a person becomes a Muslim, you say, take shahada, say shahadu la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. So do that. I get that part. And then the first thing we do is we start to show them how we do things. Whatever you do, don't let them think that you're the standard of Islam. Because as much good as they see in you, they may see some bad in you too. Rightfully so. They may rightfully see some good in you. And when you're with them, maybe you forget about Islam a little bit, and maybe they see some bad thing in you too, right? Not saying that that's the case, but it happens, you know? So don't let them think that you're the standard of a Muslim. Make sure they know Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the beginning. I think the worst thing that happens to converts, or like reverse how a lot of people say it, I think the worst thing that happens is that they find about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam way too late. They don't get to get that connection with him from the very, very beginning. When in reality, if you really don't have a connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you're really just kidding yourself. You're just wearing clothes and making movements and stuff and saying Allahu Akbar. Like if you're not connected to his life and you're not connected to his struggle, if you're not connected to his biography, then really there's a lack of appreciation that you have that you don't even know that you have. That's how your deen will become about your culture and not about the religion, because you don't have a connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for someone who's not a Muslim, get the most simplest Sirah book, like not the big like Ramadan al-Booty, not the big like not the big one, the most simple Sirah book that just goes boom, 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 boom. The one that's 50 pages, right? The kiddie book. Get the kiddie book for her. Give her the Sirah book. You say, hey, I got something for you to read, and give it to her with the greatest smile, like, I got something for you to read. Like, read it. Let me know you like be over exaggerated, right? And give it to her with some chocolate or candy or something, and say, here, eat this while you're doing it. She may eat the candy bar before she even gets to reading the book. But when she reads the book, she's going to remember the sweetness from the candy bar. And gifts are a thing that creates mutual love. So give gifts a lot, you know? So if she's a non-Muslim, give her gifts a lot. Make sure the first gift you give her is something sweet for the tongue with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then from there, she's going to rush to know about Allah. She's going to want to know about Allah after she knows about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anybody else? This is the last one, or? Yes.
A quick question.
And then sister.
You spoke about how Islam spread, for example. You know, people spoke about less, but it spread because other people could see the values and the richness of Islam. And nowadays, when you got so many Muslims, what importance would you give to selection process for you to send your kids? Would they come up with something that would not impact on them, but also impact the society? I mean, as parents, what should we do? What sort of mindset should we have for our effort to actually be selective about where they go?
That question, I told you in the beginning, I'm not a scholar. So there are certain parts of that question that I can't answer. Because, like, I love the idea of unity as well, right? But the people who won't unify for certain reasons, some of those reasons are valid reasons, you know? Some of those reasons are valid. Issues of Aqidah and belief and this and that. Some of this stuff is valid. But that's only for our scholars. That's not for common people like me and you. So when you see me, see a Muslim. I see you, I see a Muslim. It's really not my job to get into these intellectual debates about Allah. It's not my job. It's not your job either, unless you spent the time learning. And many of us haven't put that kind of time in to speak on these issues. So first, as a parent, stop kidding ourselves. That's first. Secondly, like I told the sister, don't let your children think that you're the standard of Islam. You have to humanize yourself in the eyes of your children. Because a lot of us, like I used to look at my father got killed, I was 1. And my whole life, I looked at him like a real big man. They always told me these stories, he had money and this and that, and he was like that. And he died when he was 20 years old. On my 21st birthday, I had a party, right? And I remember, it's the very last time I celebrated my birthday, right? I remember being here, I'm in this house, I had just got a house, me and my wife, right? And I thought I was hot stuff. I got a house, I have a deck, I got my own yard, right? I got just really like arrogant, really inner city arrogance. Like, because they told us that being poor, it was so hard to be poor that we thought if you get money, then you're fine. But I got the money and I wasn't fine, you know? So I thought about my father. I turned 21 and had this huge old big thing, right? And we had money and all this stuff. And I remember feeling so alone. I cried that night all the way to the next morning. Because I had realized, I said, Dag, man, my father, he died. He was a boy when he died. He was 20 years old. How do you look at a young man that's 20? Like a young man, like a baby boy. But I thought of my father as a larger-than-life kind of figure my whole life until I turned 21 and realized how young I was. I said, Dag, man, my father died as a baby boy. So many of you are still living, alhamdulillah, but a lot of our children are scared of us. A lot of our children feel like they can't speak to us. They feel all these different things. And a lot of our children, they feel, wait, real quick. Our children know we're not perfect, but they feel that our parents think that they're perfect, which makes it very hard for them to relate. So please humanize yourself to your children. First, show them, look, I'm a struggling Muslim just like you, bro. Really. It's hard for me to wake up for Fajr too, just like you, bro. You know? Let them know that. Let them know. Dude, if I don't pray Isha while I'm at the masjid, when I get home, man, it's really difficult, man. Let them know what's up. Let them know when you're at work how difficult it is to stop and go pray, or if you even stop and go pray at all. The kids just really have to know that we're struggling too. That's for one. Once they know that we're struggling too, once they know that, look, man, we're humans too. Once they get that part, then we're going to be able to guide them better. Once we're able to guide them better, because a lot of our parents, they're working, so they're not learning. This becomes an issue of scholarship. I will never tell anyone to go learn with this one or go learn with that one. That's not my job. But find men and women whom you can trust to teach your children. Once you find men and women whom you can trust to teach your children, don't let your children run all over the place. Make them stick with them until they've exerted everything from that person. And once they've gotten everything from that person, then they can move on to another teacher. When they exerted everything from that person, then they move on to another teacher. But do not let your children pick their own Islamic scholars. That is a mistake. Because kids, they're not looking at scholarship and they're not looking at religion. They ain't looking at that. They're looking at personalities and they're looking at form. So whoever's yelling the loudest, or whoever gives the dawah in the most funny way, the most relatable way, like Stormzy, men's not hot, right? Whoever can say that when he's giving his discourse, your kids are going to listen to him.
Just to comment on that, I mean, you find a lot of times that if you only got one chance for your kids, you got to make sure they're going into the right place, because that's probably the only chance that some of us would have to get your kids there. They come up with an expression that probably negate what your intention was. Not your intention, so you actually could have a big impact on someone, or you know, that was my point. Though there are a lot prior to the generations that they were, that they want to science, but now we have so many of them. And you can't just push them into any muscle, any organization. Like he's saying, we have to be thoughtful as to, it's our duty, to at least use some sort of hikmah, some sort of wisdom to say, you might not be right, but Allah's given you as a parent. Allah's blessing you, He's giving you something to your parent. Allah will provide for that. Like to provide for anything, if you blind, you have to do this stuff like that. So from parent point of view, there's so many resources available, right? Which is just as well as having none, but because they can be humble. So it's not because I've got my 2 sons and a daughter, and I'll be can't be careful all the time. No. If you fall for the bit and say, okay, I'm just not going to go with the flow because they only probably get one chance to have a bit of thought behind it, and child can go on journey with someone or organisation or something and you say, okay, then I'll help you. And the rest is with Allah. Because Allah gives the life no matter what it will.
Now, mashallah, I think toward the end, I think you actually answered it for yourself. And I'll give you like just a few statements from some of my teachers. That they were teaching us one time, and they told us that I'll give it to you like this. Do you remember when your baby boys were born and your daughter was born? You remember that? Something you can't forget, right? You cannot forget that. When my daughter, the first time I seen a child be born, dude, I almost fainted. They had to like give me orange juice and graham crackers. I was like, oh my, I had so much respect for her as a woman. I was like, I didn't know you can do that. So mashallah. But do you remember bringing them home that first couple of days, that first year, the first birthday, when they said their first word, when they finally said dada, right? When they started eating on their own, and then they started using the potty on their own, and all these milestones that signifies growth, right? And how happy and delighted we were at all these times. And then we're in a time where almost everything they do makes us like, wait, right? So the way our teachers explained to us is, first is that to know that Allah Ta'ala is today as He was yesterday. So the beauty and that good feeling and that love that Allah Ta'ala had willed when they were small, He's the same Lord today, right? And He won't forsake you, trust me. But here's the thing, as a parent, because sometimes as parents, we trust our own selves and our own decisions too much, way too much. And honestly, the little boy inside of you can't take all of that, man. Sometimes it's too much. So my thing is that if you're going to trust in Allah. That at the end of the day, parents, at the end of the day, Allah Ta'ala will guide whom He will. There's a saying, it says that none whom Allah guides, no one can take them astray, and no one whom Allah takes astray, no one can guide. So the thing is that if your children are going to be good people, or if they're going to go through hard times, that is the will of Allah. You don't have a play in that. You have no play in that, absolutely whatsoever. But here's the thing. Who's to say that Allah Ta'ala is not getting them stabbed up, is not having them doing drugs, is not having them on the streets, just so that way they can realize at a point in time in their life that deen is the way, and they'll become the best Muslims, and they'll be able to guide the youth. Make that dua for them. Don't make dua for them to be perfect children, perfect teenagers, not to get in trouble. I mean, make dua for them not to get in trouble, of course. I'm not saying don't make dua for them not to get in trouble. I don't want anyone to get in trouble. Yeah, Allah, please protect everyone from getting in trouble. I mean. But make the dua that they have a good ending. Yeah, Allah, whatever my child does in his life, whatever he has in his life, please give him a good ending. Because think about your own life. You remember when you were 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? You remember you at 20? And alhamdulillah, I'm happy for who you are today. Subhanallah. Like a lot of us. So the thing is really, you're raising your children to be adults. You're not raising your children to be children. So don't get stuck too much in them being children. Please try to give them the proper guidance and the proper love and the proper du'as for them to have that good ending that we're all striving for. Inshallah. There was one more though. Just one more. This sister, I cannot ignore her. I'm sorry. Sorry, bro.
Sorry, a quick comment. I'm a mom of 3 children, 2 beautiful boys and a little girl.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, she said proper confidence.
My concern is when I turn on the TV and the way that Islam is portrayed with news stories, and one parent's attacked, another parent's attacked, and I feel I'm constantly having to explain to my children, this is not Islam, this is not part of your being, this is affecting their identity.
For sure.
Because they're hearing so much from one side, and I'm telling them, and I'm trying to show them, no, this isn't part of your being. You try and give them experiences where they see good Muslims, they're around good people, and that is obviously majority, 99, maybe 100% of the Muslims are good people. But my concern is, how do you deal with that when you're having to explain to your children, nearly every month or every second month, please, that is not Islam, don't look at that, that's not what God is.
MashaAllah. I think that everything that I'm saying here, I'm telling you what I think. So nothing that I'm saying here is concrete. I'm telling you just what I think. It's my opinion. But, because in the West, it's funny, we say the West, Americans are just talking about America, but I realize this is definitely Mother America here. This is like, Britain is like the mother of America. And the propaganda and the media, and now they're using like these NLPs, like there's a bunch of stuff. Subliminal warfare going on right now. Bunch of subliminal warfare, right? And our children, every single one of them has some type of technological device. And on that technological device, there is some system in that technological device sent to send them astray. It is what it is, right? But you got to have the phone. You can't not have a phone. You don't know where they are, right? So I think the best thing to do is don't raise your children to have a combative mindset or reactionary mindset. That when they say this about Islam, then we do this. No. Don't raise your children to be defensive about the deen. Raise them to be offensive about the deen, right? So really, with the children, you just have to make sure they're educated properly. You know how important we take primary school and secondary and then college and university? How we do that? We need to take their Islamic education even more important. Because if they really know their history and they knew the giants that were behind them, I'm not even talking about just Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions. I'm talking about all the scholars and all these past 1400 years that conveyed the deen so it would get down to us. We have giants behind us. Imam Nawawi is behind us. Imam Ghazali is behind us. Imam Shafi is behind us. We have giants behind us. But I fear that we don't know of these giants, and they're not our superstars. They're not the men and women who we look up to. And because of that, because of who we look up to, who the children look up to, it's so easy for them to accept another ideal, you know? So I think the best way or the best thing to do is to make sure they're educated properly about the religion. Why? Because just being a Muslim, quote unquote, is really not enough in these days. You have to know what you stand for, or you will not stand for anything, inshallah. That's it?
Any more questions? We're going to have to stop that now. You can ask questions as you go on.
Inshallah.
Because we are well over time.
Can I ask a question? Is that possible? Real quick? All right, inshallah. Okay, today what did we talk about? What kind of confidence? What kind of confidence? Good. And all of our roots, every single one of us, our roots go back to what? Hold up. The Ummah has to be in sync, you know. Would you let these guys in the studio? No, right? Okay. So all of our roots, they go back to what? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.